Hello, and welcome to the Fear Channel, a channel with regular broadcasts telling the most chilling of urban legends, ghost stories, and forays into the darkest corners of the human mind. Those faint of heart or prone to night terrors should proceed at their own risk. Tonight's story is Shadow People.
It was the winter of 2012. I had been visiting with some friends in one of their father's cabins. There was a blizzard outside, so we didn't have a chance to play in the snow. Mostly just hung out indoors all day. It was essentially one giant party for a weekend. We ended up staying up late drinking, playing games, and catching up. Once everyone got tired, we all ended up sleeping in the living room by the fireplace, since there was no heating. There was this one chick who got up. I don't remember her name, so we'll call her Sarah. She gets up and walks to the window. Sarah's been acting weird the whole time since we got there, and never talked to anyone except her boyfriend. She just stares outside. I assume she likes watching blizzards at night. Sarah walks to the door and goes outside in her PJs at around 3 or 4 o'clock at night. I'm worried that she's going to freeze, so I sneak over to the windows and watch her. She's talking to someone out there. Now, the cabin we're at is 10 miles from the city. We're essentially in the middle of nowhere. I throw on my snow coat and some jeans and sneak out and try to follow them. The snow picked up so much I got snow blinded entirely, so I wait in some bushes for a minute or two until I can see again. By this point they're gone. They left tracks, so I follow the tracks to a large opening. I walk out to the middle, and suddenly the tracks end. They just end entirely. No tire tracks, nothing. So I go back to the cabin and look for any signs of tracks along the way. There's nothing between the opening and the cabin, so I go back inside. Sarah's already back, and snuggled up in her sleeping bag. What the fuck? This wasn't making any sense. That's when I looked outside. Now there were 2 figures outside the cabin. Chills go up my spine. I stay up all night by the fire. Morning comes. Sarah's acting even weirder than she did the day before. She's kind of skittish and looking around frantically. We eat, and I tell all my friends that I have to go home. I make up a lie and say that I have plans for the next day. But why? Sarah's boyfriend asks. I take him aside and tell him about last night. He doesn't believe me. Since I wasn't the one who drove, I end up having to stay at the cabin against my better judgment. Fortunately, the rest of the trip was relatively uneventful. When I finally get home, I block Sarah's boyfriend's number from my phone. 2 weeks later, I find out from a friend that he was murdered in his apartment. The body was left behind, but police couldn't find any evidence to indicate who committed the murder.